Welcome to another edition of the East Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com, where we're breaking down the top stories from Districts 5 and 6 of Idaho high school athletics. My name is Joel Richardson. Let's bring in our co-host, Sean Kane, who is on Thanksgiving break. The Bears are on fire. They've won again, despite other teams' best efforts. Sean, how you feeling, dude?
I feel great to have a few days with the family and rest, and yeah, the Bears winning it's helpful. I'm not getting like super excited for it yet, Joel, but it's
Cautiously optimistic.
it's been fun. Yeah, it's being a Bears fan. So
Yeah.
it's I mean, yesterday or Sunday I didn't think it was going to go well, and then I don't know. They've been like the heart attack Bears, but enough of the NFL. No one cares about that.
Well, you're wearing the beanie, so we had to say something about your Bears. And when they're doing well, it's exciting to get behind a team who usually, like you said, doesn't do well, or they give you they flirt with you, and then they drop you like a bad date.
They just don't dance with you. They give you the eyes,
exactly.
But you don't get a dance.
Love it. Well, hey, we're dancing a little bit on this Prepcast today. It is Thanksgiving break. Hopefully everyone's enjoying their Thanksgiving break. If you're not on Thanksgiving break yet, we hope that you are prepping well for it. You're stretching out the stomach a little bit to feed it some good food this Thursday. We'll talk a little about, Sean, about that. What is your ideal Thanksgiving meal? What we could also do is the different teams that we've seen this year in East Idaho football. Who is the turkey? Who's the mashed potatoes? Who is the stuffing? Right? Who's the cranberry ice? If anyone even knows what cranberry ice is, who's the Jello salad? Who's the rolls? But we'll sprinkle that. We'll have to sprinkle that in those metaphors throughout the show. This show is brought to you by Ideal, Idaho's college savings program. It's a state-sponsored tax advantage savings plan that helps families pay for the cost of college. With the rising cost of college, developing a savings plan is the first and most important step in helping families finance a college education. An Ideal 529 account can be used towards higher education, trade schools, apprenticeships, or even student loan repayments. So if you want more information, go to idsavings.org to find out how you and your kids can save for the cost of college. First story, biggest story coming out of East Idaho, Sean, is from Saturday afternoon's 6A Milk Bowl football champions, your Rigby Trojans. Sorry, your Rigby Red Devils,
yeah.
Right? The Red Devils did it again in a dominating. We probably throw that word around too much, Sean, but in this case, it truly was a dominating victory by the Red Devils.
Yeah, Rigby goes back-to-back, 5 and 7 years, but like you said, Joel, dominating 41-6 over Timberline, and on paper or whatever you want to put it, this was a game I thought was going to be maybe the most highly contested game, and it just really wasn't. Unfortunately, Timberline didn't have a full complement of players, right? The quarterback is out, but I don't know if that makes a difference, to be honest with you. I mean, maybe it's a little closer, but how well Rigby played in this game at, all facets, defense and offense, was unreal.
I think it would have been a little bit closer I think, yeah, your starting quarterback is in. He's getting offers from other levels. That allows your wide receiver your star wide receiver to then fill in to actually play his position. He's got over 1,000 yards receiving. So I think it does make the game at least a little bit closer, if not a lot closer, because yeah, like you said, on paper, it's maybe the most contested game, but it wasn't. Quarterback is out. Wide receiver fills in at quarterback. He had some nice moments, but overall, Rigby, took them behind the woodshed and did some things to them, right? That were not pretty. 41-6. That's 5 titles in 7 years for this Rigby team. 5 titles in 9 years for head coach Gonzalez. Let's look at some numbers, Sean. Amani Morrell, 19 carries, 142 yards. He had 7.5 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns. None more important than the touchdown before halftime. Rigby gets the ball to start the second half, and about 90, maybe 2 minutes, 90 seconds remaining in the first half, Rigby gets the ball back, and they march 50, 60 yards. All Morrell runs, by the way, to punch it in with like 10 seconds remaining before half. That put Rigby up, I want to say it was 6 or 7. and 6-7, and that was the difference in the game, right? And then from there, Rigby just took off and never looked back. But that touchdown right before half essentially solidified the win for Rigby.
Yeah, and Amani Morel gets hurt, right? So he doesn't
Yep.
even essentially play the whole game, and he has 19 carries, 142, two TDs. Probably if not he's got to be probably the Idaho football player of the year of 6A. I don't know who else you can really drum that up to with his performance this year. What a phenomenal job. And Jacob Flowers also had 90 yards passing, two TD passes. I mean, you were at the game, Joel, right? I mean, you were at the game. You saw it. I would say maybe that pick six by Cannon Korth was actually a really important part of the game too. Really kind of took Timberline out of sorts, and I don't think you were going to see the comeback after that. But just a phenomenal job. The defense did well. Ethan Hickman, Boston Mater, Gage French juniors, Adolfo, another Adolfo in there who centered the line there and had a phenomenal season, and he's only a junior. So you just had a lot of everyone kind of contributed. Amani Morel will get the fanfare, but I felt like Rigby as a team, you had the most players contribute, and that's why they're the state champions.
Yeah, well, and that's we saw that with Hillcrest, and I thought the similar thing would happen with them in terms of using a lot of different players, right? Including a lot of different weapons, moving the ball right side, left side. We're going to use the left side of the offensive line, right? So we're going to bring in a tight end. We're going to now throw the ball. And so we expected something similar. We expected the same thing between Rigby and Hillcrest, and Rigby absolutely did that, especially when Amani Morel went out with injury. He ended up coming out late in the fourth quarter. I think it was to give all the seniors, a few more reps. But yeah, Amani Morel was hurt, and that allowed them to use more players. However, I think that was already part of the game plan. Again, something we've seen all year. So, man, we can't talk enough about Rigby, how well they did. And, it's funny, you and I were talking before the show. We tried to make sure this season that we weren't too Rigby heavy, because it was so easy to be Rigby heavy, right? They were so good all year, and they were so good in many different ways. Like we said, with a lot of weapons, defense, offense. Their quarterback, we haven't talked about their quarterback. What a great job he's done the last few years. Flowers, 90 passing yards, 2 touchdowns to go with those 90 passing yards. Had a good game, good season, and but. With our desires, our efforts to try to balance out our love for Rigby, Hillcrest, other teams, Sugar Salem, we may have underestimated, underrated, not talked enough about the Rigby Trojans, the Rigby Red Devils.
I think they were just very businesslike. It was just very businesslike. They took care of Coeur d'Alene early in the season, and then you didn't really hear anything about it. Well, I mean, you did, right? They had a couple big wins over Utah schools, late wins. Oh, they're barely winning. And then they
lost to BK.
Yeah, well, I was getting there, and then had some wins, and then lost to BK, and everyone, the wheels are coming off, right? The wagon is going down, Oregon Trail, right? But they, stayed the course, and I'm gonna have to eat some crow on this because a good friend of mine is the tennis coach at Bishop Kelly, and I said there was no way that I just really didn't think Bishop Kelly would win last night, and hats off to them, they did. I have to eat some crow, but I did tell him today, and I said I would say this on air, is I still think a fully healthy Rigby team beats Bishop Kelly. I really do. I think you have a full team. They beat them 9 out of 10 times. I think any team can beat any team, really, if the cards go the right way. But I truly believe if they played this game again, full complement of defense and offensive players, I don't think Bishop Kelly beats Rigby. But it doesn't matter is the thing. Like, I just don't think it matters, because a lot of people are saying now Bishop Kelly, they're undefeated, they're the best team
in Idaho, right?
But I mean, how do you quantify that? Rigby 5 and 7 years seems to be better than, a really good qualification to be the best team in Idaho. Bishop Kelly, they weren't even in the championship last year. You even talk about Hillcrest. They've been in 3 straight championship games. That's very hard to do at any level. They went 1 for 2, but still being in that championship game is just a huge accomplishment. Not, there's how many teams, they all want to be there. So yeah, I mean, I still think, I'm just going to say for the record, I still think fully healthy Rigby beats BK. That's it.
Yeah.
That's where I was going.
No, yeah. We talk about no one cares about NFL, college football here, right? We're talking high school football, but college football. I know you're not as much of a fan as I am in college football, but we're right now the college football world, especially like SEC, Big Ten, are all about especially SEC is all about hypothetical wins. Well, this team deserves to be here because they would beat the other team who doesn't. Like, it doesn't matter. It's who's in front of you, right? With that said, so because we're kind of going there a little bit, but with that said, it would be so fun, Sean, to see. I was talking to our mutual friend Logan Kelso, who's a big BK guy. He's a BK grad, right?
Boy.
Yeah. And he was kind of tongue in cheek. BK, best team in the state, and I was like, dude, like you said, fully healthy. And apparently Rigby was down 7. I thought they were down just a couple guys. I guess they were down
guys.
Yeah, they were down like 7 to 8 guys against BK. But yeah, for sure. I think a fully healthy Rigby team, if you had like a best 6A, the 6A title winners versus the 5A title winners, I think that'd be really, really cool to see, to kind of like, because you could kind of say 5 and 6A probably have the best teams just because of sheer numbers, right? Well, I think if you had, your Homedale, Fruitlands, Sugar Salem team come out or Kimberly come out and play one of those games, I think just numbers wise, you would tire out the other team, I think. So it'd be cool to see a 5, 6A, at the end of the season, who really is the king of Idaho. But we have a way to see that. And that's, for better or for worse, it's Max Preps, Sean. I don't know if you've checked Max Preps. Rigby is still number 1 in all of Idaho, and BK is like 6, 7, or 8. So if we're talking fun, like hypothetical conversations, I think you're right. I think Rigby is still your top dog in the state, despite losing to BK because of strength and schedule and all that, and because the teams you beat. But it's a fun conversation. It would be fun to do to have that on the football field when you're not missing 7 to 8 guys.
Yeah, and the only and I'm not discrediting Bishop Kelly at all. They played a phenomenal game last night. Many facets of the game were just incredible, and so I tip a hat to them. But I also think it's interesting that you always want these, like, I'd like to see Kendrick play Sugar Salem, but there you go. There you
go, Hayden Olencott from North Idaho. Kendrick,
but also like the 8-man football and 11-man football, I think is extremely different. What you can do in the field, and that was interesting. They talked about narrowing the field for 8-man football. That'll be interesting. But nonetheless, I think we just have to say, Rigby 5 and 7 years at the 6A is going to be the toughest division of football. I don't know how else you slice it. It is. These schools, Rocky Mountain has 3,000 plus students. It's the hardest division, and Rigby has done something pretty special for the past few years, being able to keep competing at the championship level. I mean, it's so tough to do. Smaller schools, different schools, you're going to get that class of players that are outstanding, and you're going to have your shots at it, and then it might be a while again, right? But Rigby's just continually been on that train, and they were pretty dominant. They didn't really face a break point in the playoffs. I think that's something that will go unsaid. And I think even Armando Gonzalez, who, if you've ever got to talk to him, he's not real big on like saying we're like really, really good, right? He's not that. He's like, well, we could have done this better. He's probably the most critical person for that team, which probably makes him a great coach. But he even said it was a very dominant performance. I think that was the most like generous thing I've ever heard him say in one of the articles. But that's what it takes. And just congratulations again to all the Red Devils out there in Rigby.
Yeah, let's get this picture on here, Sean. This is a picture. We got permission to share it from the photo taker, Riley at Hot Shots, and just wanted to bring this up here for everyone to see. If you haven't seen it, it's out there on social media. The 6A Milkville football champions, the Rigby Red Devils / Trojans, and there's Amani Morel on the left side of your screen.
Yep.
Again, he got hurt in the first. Was it late in the first, early in the second half? Can't remember. But he didn't play much the second half. Still had a phenomenal game, and he's got a bunch of offers. Still waiting to see where he's going to play football next at the next level. Jake Flowers, meanwhile, he's going to be playing with Montana Tech with the Ore Diggers, I believe. And then there's Coach Gonzalez on the right hand side. By the way, love the overalls by the assistant coach over here. One of the assistant coaches. See those overalls, right hand side?
That's like a Ryan Skaggs outfit,
right? Where's is that Skaggs in disguise? But yeah, there's Coach Gonzalez kind of hiding with that white shirt.
The grayish white shirt. Yeah.
So really great job by Rigby. We can't say enough about Coach Gonzalez. One fun story: I was doing the game with Sven Alskog last Saturday, and during the game, I'm watching Coach Gonzalez. They had received a sideline warning. I think it was the first half. Late in the third or early in the fourth quarter. The game's out of hand. Rigby has won the game, and there was a call that coach didn't like, and he was livid on the field, arguing with the referees. And this is, Sean, again late in the second half. The game's over, and Coach Gonzalez, who is a proven winner, and you saw on the field while he was arguing a call that he did not like, and I think if I remember right, it was a questionable call. But that's why Rigby is winning so much. Again, he's been at Rigby 9 years. He's got 5 titles, and that's 5 titles in 7 years for Rigby in general. Before Coach Gonzalez showed up, for example, Madison had Rigby's number. Madison and Rigby are still, I think, tied, or Madison has the overall record by a couple wins. I mean, it was Madison country up there just recently. So Coach Gonzalez has done a really great job up there in Rigby, putting Rigby on the map. They're one of their top team in Idaho per Max Preps, per East Idaho Prepcast, right? We'll let the Treasure Valley Prepcast, if there was one, talk about how great Bishop Kelly was, or great Bishop Kelly is. But seriously, great job by Rigby.
Absolutely.
And Hayden finally says, Nick Saban-esque. Joel, I know you love the SEC. Oh yes, and he is, and that's what Nick Saban there's stories of Nick Saban getting on his players when they were in blowout wins and not being specific, hard on the details, right? And that's what Coach Gonzalez is.
He's the best. He's one of the best coaches, right, to call and talk to, because he's so I can't write down if I'm on my phone. I can't write down enough of things. So
yeah. Another great coach, Hillcrest coach Mossholder. You and I both had a chance to talk to him before, after the game, and coach, he said, hey, BK played a great game. A couple bounces went their way for sure, and we just didn't play good enough. And Coach Mossholder might be the second best, maybe arguably the best coach here in East Idaho, next to Coach Gonzalez. There may be a 1A, 1B there. But Hillcrest just comes up short. They lose 31-14. But like you said, Sean, 3 straight championship appearances. Hillcrest is not going anywhere.
No, Hillcrest, it was a game. I think everyone, again, another game. I'd say the 6A and 5A games were the games people thought were going to be these huge battles. And the Hillcrest Bishop Kelly game was a more of a battle, I think, through the first 3/4 of that game. But Hillcrest goes up to Boise. They have to play on Monday, which I find interesting. And we had Monday Night Football, and
very strange, fun thing, but strange.
They started out, kind of like it was going to be a shootout. BK goes down the field 5 plays, scores. Hillcrest responds. The thing that I thought was a little, the kind of the little things you notice is Bishop Kelly went for 2 every time, or most of the time, got it. They hit an onside kick to hit the second half, which I thought was big turning point, because Hillcrest was getting the ball back. They score that drive. It's a different game. Sweetwood still had a good game, but he had 2 picks. I think he only had 2 picks all year, and that was Bishop Kelly. The defensive line of Bishop Kelly was super strong, much stronger than I thought. I will eat crow there again.
Yep.
And they made it difficult. Hillcrest still found some lanes and ran the ball, but overall the defense and Teal for BK got another interception, so I think he will end the season with like 11. And they just did a lot of things. It was tough, and it was a good game. And Bishop Kelly also a really good coach. He came from Rocky Mountain when Rocky Mountain was doing big things, and I mean they still are. But yeah, Hillcrest, a phenomenal season. A phenomenal time covering him this year. It was kind of mostly the games I did were Hillcrest games, and it was fun. I was rooting for him. Unfortunately, it just didn't fall the way I wanted it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And Coach Mossholder, friend of the program, really does a great job filling us in on like what to look for and how things are going. Always sends us stats at the end of every game. I think Saturdays he usually sends those over. One time, Coach Mossholder even and I had a little phone conversation on Saturday. My wife and I were driving around looking at some houses during like the home shows here in East Idaho, and he gives me a call like Saturday afternoon, and we just start chatting up, talk about the Skyline game. But yeah, Coach Mossholder, awesome coach, treats everyone just so nicely and requires a lot from his team. They have a great culture, and great cultures yield great programs, which yields championships. And Hillcrest is right there. They fall short of the back-to-back, but Hillcrest, like we say, not going anywhere, especially because their cupboard is never light, right? There's always a full cupboard. They do a good job of rotating sophomores and juniors into games, even when the games are like you would think, okay, yeah, you bring in some of your JV kids during blowouts, but no, they bring in fresh bodies, sophomores, juniors, even during close games, and they do great stuff for Hillcrest. So really good, looking forward to what they bring next year. But the season ends with a second place trophy, that red trophy, which is nothing to shake your head at. 10-2 overall record, and Hillcrest will go into the offseason. Should go into the offseason holding their heads up. We also had another runner-up game, Sean. Ririe. They have been in uncharted territory, which has been we probably sound like a broken record on here, but Ririe, haven't been district champions since 70 plus years. Never been this far in the championship, but they got to the championship game and they played so well. They took that game to overtime, but unfortunately in overtime lost 36-30. For those who weren't watching the game or listening to it, Coulter Lewis, man, what a phenomenal game. Here's his numbers: 40 carries, 195 yards to tack on to his 1,000+ rushing season, and 3 touchdowns, including one to tie up the game to go to overtime. What was I going to say? The Nampa Christian team, they went for 42-yarder, Sean, missed the field goal. The game goes to overtime. Nampa Christian scores on a leaping catch for the go-ahead touchdown. They don't get the 2-point conversion. And so all Ririe has to do is score, get the 2, and at least just score a touchdown.
Tie it up.
To tie it up to get to double overtime. And Nampa Christian stops Coulter Lewis 4 straight times, man. Coulter Lewis can't get in, and Nampa Christian comes away with that 36-30 overtime win.
Yeah, arguably, I was going to say arguably, but I think this was the best game over the course of the championships. Probably, but I think this was just a really good game. You had 2 teams. I mean, Joel had Ririe being there the whole time. I don't know if I did. So again,
maybe not.
I'll take my my losses there, but in a division where we were pretty set on, I think, having 2 teams from the East Idaho realm. Didn't happen. Nampa Christian goes on a phenomenal run. They hadn't been to the state championship in a long time as well. But Ririe, what a phenomenal job, and they kind of just ran out of gas. I think too. They had ran Lewis and Van Noy, and they just kind of ran out of gas. And Nampa Christensen's defense, that's the overtime so hard, right? I think it's kind of cool going first and being ahead, or the overtime's a whole nother game within a game to coach, and it's just and it's all a coin flip and things like that. But 36-30 loss, had a chance to tie it up, just couldn't quite get over that line. There was a cool video of it I saw floating around Twitter. But yeah, Napa Christensen, I mean, some people had called it. I don't know who they were. I don't know their names off the top of my head, but some people were kind of big on them. And give credit where it's due. But Ririe, also a ton of credit for their best season of all time. Really, I mean, this will go down in history as Ryrie's best season. Nothing to feel ashamed about. And what a fun team to watch all year, especially that whole conference was fun to watch.
Yeah.
Usually it's just overshadowed by West Side and Aberdeen, and Ririe had to beat Aberdeen, and the door, the keys to the door were through East Idaho, and Ririe got through one door, and Nampa Christensen got through the other door, and Napa Christian just shut that door as they got through it just by the hair of their chinny chin chin.
Yeah, for sure. So congrats to Nampa Christian. We got to give the credit where credit is due. Nampa Christian played really good football against Ririe. It was really fun to watch Ririe throughout the season. When we finally got to see them live, Sean, it wasn't just this running team. They do these cool pitch plays in the backfield, right? Out of the wing tee, they're in the shotgun.
Misdirection, right?
Sorry, yeah, they're under center. Sorry, they're under center. So it's a classic wing tee. Aberdeen was in the shotgun wing tee. But yeah, you have all this misdirection where these players are kind of cross cutting in the backfield, and there are these pitches that are going on. It's not a true handoff a lot. It's more that pitch play, and that ball gets in the air and it catches your eye just long enough for you to make a move. If you're the defensive line linebacker, you make one muscle twitch to one misdirection, and it's over. Coulter Lewis, Garrett Van Noy off to the races. So Ririe was a really fun team to watch in that aspect. So with Nampa Christian's win, here is your week 2 from Kane's hard picks. And this is the guy. If it weren't for Hayden Olenkot's picked on Nampa Christian, we'll have to give credit where credit is due. Hayden Olenkot was riding Nampa Christian all the way to the championship the whole time. He wouldn't let up. I think they owe him a shirt, some, I don't know, a bow tie, something more. Because I think Nampa Christian owes Hayden for that win. So Hayden, myself, Sean, we all get third place. Oh, sorry, we all tie for first, second, and third place. Then Skaggs is down there. Poor Skaggs, did so much work in that final week, but unfortunately it wasn't enough. As honestly, I can't remember why Skaggs lost one more game than the rest of us.
He picked Wallace.
Okay, I thought it was like a North Idaho thing.
I think that was the big one was Wallace, but
yeah.
I mean,
but that's it.
That was fun. It was fun to do the picks with everyone, and hopefully we'll maybe girls basketball bring the Kane Cold Hard picks back out. But yeah, that's a wrap on football.
That's it, dude. That is the football season. Rigby are champions. Everyone else was spread out. It's good to have parity in Idaho. Here in East Idaho, the cupboards are getting kind of heavy. Sean. Interest rates are kind of going down, but inflation's still going up. There isn't maybe as much money to build more trophy cases here in East Idaho, so it's okay to not take all the trophies home, all the big trophies home. This year, we'll let other places build their trophy cases out.
Parity is a good word. I felt there was definitely more parity,
in
high school football this year than there had been in a while.
Yeah, and that's great for the state. Honestly, as much as we want East Idaho to win everything, it's good to have some of the parity. Sugar Salem goes down, West Side goes down. Obviously. Ririe, didn't win the whole thing. Hillcrest didn't win the whole thing.
Grace
ran into the juggernaut, which is Kendrick. And that 2A game, by the way, as an aside, that 2A game was pretty fun. That Kendrick Logos game. I thought Logos. I listened to most of that broadcast, Sean, from Idaho Sports, and man, Logos was making a push. And was it a fumble or a pick? Something happened where Kendrick just ran away with it and Logos couldn't recover. But dude, Logos game
bounced off a couple people, and I think Kendrick got a pick, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And it totally turned it away.
It was a big turnover. Logos was making a push. I think if they scored on that drive, they were either tied or like down 6 or 7 or something. I did it again. And by the way, Sam Buffington earlier said 6-7 when I throw that out there. I know,
Oh
Sean, how
boy.
much you love 6-7. Thank you,
Oh boy.
Sam, for backing me up. Anyway, really good football throughout the season, dude. Great football from East Idaho. Good championship games. Would like to see it be a little more closer, right, in those 5-6 days, but that wasn't the case. I want to remind everyone, this show is brought to you by Ideal, the state-sponsored tax advantage savings plan that helps you pay for the cost of college. Go to idsavings.org for more information. We teased this out in our preview. Let's talk some girls basketball, Sean.
Yeah.
Let's move from football. Let's talk some girls basketball. You have your top teams so far this season. Let's put this graphic up now. Kane's top teams. You got Rigby, Pocatello, Sugar Salem, Malad, Butte County, and Rockland. I love your Rockland pick there, Sean.
Yeah, just looking, knee-jerk reactions at the start of the season. I really like what Rigby's done so far, beating the two teams that were in the championship last year, Boise and Owyhee, also taking down Bonneville, and then beating a Blackfoot team, which Blackfoot is almost a team I put up there, but Rigby just last Thursday beat Blackfoot 59-48. I also think Blackfoot will be a solid team. Now, interesting enough, Pocatello, right? Only 2 games, not a huge slice, but they've got Abby Lusk, which is, I'm going to say it, she's probably the best, one of the best players in Idaho, period. And Rigby and the Thunder play today, actually. So
yes,
at 7:30, that will be
down here in Pokey. Sean, you want to go? Take me.
I don't know if they let me in there anymore. No, I'm just joking though. But that will be that's an early season big time game. Now Pocatello did lose a lot of seniors, and notably Kenna Garza, right? And I think that'll be a good game. If it like, again, it's cross classification, and in hindsight it doesn't mean a whole lot, but I don't know how many tough games the Thunder will get this early like that. So that'll be definitely a game to watch. Sugar, the defending champions, 2-0. They're off to a strong start. Malad is a team that I found very interesting, off to a 4-0 start.
Yeah.
They're kind of a sneaky surprise. Now, I'm not surprised, right? They were good last year. We had just a fun time covering them last year, and how they have to share the gym time and different things from coach. But Malad 4-0. They beat American Falls. They beat Ririe, which at one point Ririe was going to be on this. They beat Melba and Parma, right? And Parma, the team that beat them last year, if I'm not mistaken, in the championship. Is that right? Yeah, Parma beat them in the state championship 55-58 last year, and they've already beaten Parma 57-36 this year. So some good team, good playing by the Malad Dragons. Trevor Jones, the coach there, doing a phenomenal job. He emails us, sends us things as well. It'll be fun to watch this team. Grace and Butte County, almost should have put both of them up there, Joel.
Yes.
Those are 2 good teams to watch out for. I think that will be an absolute battle. Now, you'll have to remind me if they only get one or that someone get a playing game. I think they only get one.
I should have looked, honestly. That's a great question.
I forgot about that.
I can't remember.
It's the same story every year with Grace and Butte County. Sometimes, in football, we've got 2 really, it's just, there's always volleyball. Both teams are very good this year. And they also have Arturas Prep in there, but yes. I don't think that factors into them getting another spot. But Butte County off to a 3-0 start. Grace is also to a 3-0 start. I do like what Butte County's done. They've beaten Jerome, a division up, 55-51. I think that Jerome team's actually going to be pretty good. And they beat Chalice and Valley. And also today, Sugar and Butte County play, which that's another phenomenal matchup coming up on a game. Yeah, if you have this week off, go catch a game. And that game is in Butte County. So Sugar and Butte that'll be a phenomenal girls game early season. And then, like you said, Joel, the number 1 or 1A, number 1 in Joel's heart, Rockland Bulldogs. They're 2-1. And as we know, this Rocky Mountain Conference, you could say whatever you want right now, and it could be totally different in a couple weeks. and then different in a couple of weeks, and then different in a couple of weeks. I think Mackey was the preseason favorite out of there, and I think Mackey will still be good. They've only played one game, but Rockland has beaten Dietrich. They lost Raft River, which I found interesting, and beat Murtaugh just recently in a tight one, 38-32. But some top teams in each classification that I've been keeping an eye out, because I don't want girls basketball to get overshadowed.
Yeah.
With the football, which it always kind of does because of the way it starts, which makes no sense to me, right? You're, a lot of times they have games and stuff and can't go to the championship games, depending if it's a Thursday, right? So many of these girls basketball games happen on Thursday. So kind of an interesting caveat to Idaho sports.
Yeah. A couple thoughts, Sean, on your top teams. One is Butte County. I've had the privilege to broadcast a number of Butte County's games, and Mindy Gamet is a great coach, right? You and I both know her well. She does a great job communicating with us. She's one of those friends of the program, right, that we always talk about.
Oh, yeah.
But listen to this lineup that Butte County has in Mindy Gamet's second year. She's bringing back Bryn Anderson, that she's that guard forward, one of the taller players. Abby Knight, Paige Williams, Cambry Lyon, Autumn Gamet. That's I think Autumn, and then you got Maddie Gamet, Hazel Gamet. I think not all three are her daughters. I think one or two are her daughters, and the others are like cousins. Yeah, exactly. And then you're bringing Addison Pancari, and pinch me, Sean, if you've heard that Pancari name before coming out of Butte County. So they're returning, and these are 4 seniors coming in, both returning and incoming impact players, and then 3 juniors. So this team is heavy with upperclassmen.
No seniors lost from last year.
Exactly. And that's massive. And these players were all players of the year, first team all conference. Of course, this conference is only a 3-team conference. But dude, if again, we don't bet at all, but if we were to, I'd be putting a ton of money on the Butte County Pirates behind second-year head coach Mindy Gamet.
Yeah, and I think that game tonight against Sugar Salem, and Sugar Salem also their coach. We have a lot of the women's programs kind of give to us better. That's what I'm figuring out right now. Crystal Daly,
they do a great job.
Salem, she's also really a tennis coach that just happens to do basketball because she's probably 6'5", I think. Crystal is. She's pretty tall.
And we had her on the program last year. We got to get her back.
Yep. She's the real deal too. So that'll be a good game. And Sugar's already beaten Shelley and Bear Lake, which Bear Lake is a team I almost put on there too. Bear Lake is a team that
they started a little bit slow though. I mean, I know it's early, but I think 1-2, 0-2 or something.
Yeah, just one loss to Sugar. They played Sugar. They play Ririe today. So yeah, Bear Lake, they had a great run last year. They were a team Ken Wells, and another good friend of the program, gets back to us. Bear Lake falls to Sugar in that championship game, right? 41-47. But again, another team that could have been on there. There's a lot of good girls basketball teams. Again, these are just some of my knee-jerk reactions because a lot of teams haven't played a ton of games. But Rigby 4-0, pretty impressive.
Yeah, definitely. And also I wanted to mention one more team and then talk about my interesting team. And I know it won't be a surprise to you who my interesting team is. Okay. But I want to talk Rockland, just Jordan Black, right? Another friend of the program. We had her on during the offseason, talk about her team's championship, right? Last year. And I like your Rockland pick because Jordan Black is such a good coach. She's creating a program. She and her family haven't been, in the Rockland area very long, but they've been there long enough. Husband coaches up the Rockland team. He's one of the assistant coaches. Jordan Black is the head ball coach for the girls team. She's going to have those girls playing, whether they're new or experienced girls incoming. So that's why I like your including Rockland as they're 2-1 in that Rocky Mountain Conference. Who knows what's going to happen between now and next month, right? Especially in January when things start heating up after the holidays. But I like your Jordan Black's Rockland pick. And then finally, Sean, some of my interesting teams. Marsh Valley, they're 3-0. They weren't included on here. You included Sugar Salem, but not Teton, who's 2-0. Firth is 2-0. And then you mentioned Grace. I looked it up really quick. Yeah, that District 5-6 for 2A only gets one bid, so you have to. It's terrible, right? But you got to win that district tournament game with Alturas Prep,
And
Grace,
Teton
and Butte County.
and
So anyway, I
Teton.
just wanted to show that there are some more other teams
Oh
that are
yeah.
interesting to me that are doing well so far. But I like your picks. And then I'll talk about my last team after. I'll let you rebuttal.
Oh no, I agree with you. But Sugar Sail and Teton, I think they get a play-in game.
Yes, I know you're right. So it's just
They
two
don't in
way
soccer, but they do in basketball.
in basketball, which again is backwards, right?
That was all. Yeah, I just have to start remembering all these caveats as basketball starts, and I can get disgruntled about it later.
Exactly. But I do like that in 4A. Yeah. Sugar, Teton, and then South Fremont. They get one more. They get a bid and a half, right? The half goes and plays in. With Alturas Prep, I wonder if 2A does not respect maybe Alturas Prep yet or something,
Well,
and that's why they only get one seed.
I think they were like,
or are they too new that? Yes,
independent for a while, and I don't know how that works. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. And then finally, my interesting team, Sean. I like it. Like I teased out. You're not going to be surprised by my pick here. But when you lose a D1 athlete in Shea Shippen, right? What does Skyline become? Now, Skyline last year had a tough time on offense. They had a tough time finding points besides Shea Shippen. And they used Shea Shippen as almost a decoy, and the ball would go through her, but then she would dish, or she would dish underneath. Unfortunately, her players weren't finishing with those assists. And so Shea Shippen ended up trying to score a lot more buckets. Teams would just double team, triple team her, and it created problems. Skyline, I think Skyline lost in the first round or in the second of the term. I can't quite remember, but they didn't finish as strong as we thought they would. So I'm very interested in Skyline. Right now they're 4-2. With no more Shea Shippen, who's now at Columbia. I'm interested how Abby Muir, Maddie Merzlock, who are both back as senior captains with their smothering defense, they're there. And then Macy Marlowe, who is the second leading scorer behind Shea Shippen, where they find points, because I think the defense is going to be fine. But I'm really interested how Ty Keck and his Skyline girls are going to find points, because last year they had a hard time as the season went on, and teams focused so much on Shippen.
Yeah, it's going to be, Ty Keck, it's his 11th or 12th season at the helm. And they've, in Skyline, Grizzlies have been consistently good for the most part. And what, we're going to say this over and over again, District 6, maybe the hardest districts in girls sports. I don't know.
Soccer, volleyball, basketball.
I don't know if it gets harder. You had Shelley was the top dogs for a while. We kind of thought Blackfoot was going to poke in there. They did, right?
They did.
I mean, they did. They poked in. They're, a shot going off the rim being in the state championship against the Thunder.
Yeah.
And Skyline always lurking. Skyline played 2 years ago, played Pocatello Thunder in the semifinal, and throwing the ball and not taking a timeout was the difference of them not going, because I did that game as well. They were no, I mean, Pocatello doesn't go to the championship. Skyline does, loses to Shelley, right? It's been an East Idaho affair basically in the 5A, 4A, whatever it is next week. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I do think Blackfoot is going to be good. I feel Hillcrest brings back some talent, and they've got just kind of a good, good nucleus of players that will be good. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see, and maybe not having the pressure of the Shea Shippen will make some of these other players play loose. They've got like Merzlock, maybe she gets some more points, and Marlowe, who did score, maybe can take on a more of a dishing role and not have to worry about scoring. So just how Ty Keck can fit those players in that chessboard will be very entertaining, and District 6 will be entertaining as always.
Yeah. It really is so fun to cover District 6 and girls sports, man. Week in, week out, you don't know what you're getting. But yeah, we got, again, that's my most interesting team coming out of District 6, maybe even East Idaho. Not necessarily the best, are obviously the worst, but I'm just curious how Ty Keck manages that team early on in the season and now how things adjust, because things kind of changed as we thought Skyline was the favorite. And it seemed like throughout the season, things got worse for Skyline. Meanwhile, Blackfoot, the opposite happened. Blackfoot took off and they ended up beating them in the district championship, and Ramey Odom and Blackfoot were this close to getting to that state championship. So I needed to shout out Skyline as my interesting team. Sean, we've gone 45 minutes. Girls basketball is here. Football is done. We won't talk wrestling much. We might shout it out here and there. We have some great wrestlers coming out of American Falls, including one who signed with UVU, right? So we'll talk a little bit of wrestling, but we'll mostly leave that to the Matt Chat Prepcast. Want to shout that Prepcast out. I think they're going Thursday nights, I think.
Okay.
But be sure
to start soon.
Because we're here, right? So be sure you like and subscribe to the Matt Chat Prepcast so you know each and every week when wrestling is being discussed. But in terms of girls basketball, keep it here on the East Idaho Prepcast. We'll be talking week in, week out, your top teams, players, stories coming out of girls basketball. And then, Sean, we'll move into boys basketball. And before you know it, we'll be at the state tournament broadcasting those games for IdahoSports.com. Sean, finally, we didn't talk about this because there was no time, but I think your staple food for Thanksgiving is the turkey. Who is your turkey from East Idaho Fall Sports this year, man?
Who's the turkey? Like the main?
Yeah, like the main dish. Like you're gonna have it, whether it's smoked or deep fried your traditional oven. Like, who is your turkey? It's always there, always good, maybe even great every Thanksgiving. Who is your turkey East Idaho team from Fall Sports?
Oh, well, oh man. Oh,
I know I put you on the spot.
How about this? Like, mashed potatoes are my favorite side.
Okay.
So mass and volleyball would be the mashed potatoes for sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Like if they would have gotten the championship, I think I go there immediately, would be mass and volleyball. But I'm gonna have to go, when it's all said and done and all the fall sports are done, I'm gonna have to go Rigby. Yeah. Rigby Red Devils. Just quiet. I feel like kind of quietly just dominated. Dominated.
Again, we probably could have talked about them more throughout the podcast season.
Just dominated. They just, they've got the fireworks, they've got the ambulance sirens going off. I think they put on, not only did they put on the best show maybe on turf this year, they also had the best result in East Idaho. Going back to back 6A football champions is very difficult. So I'm going to go Rigby.
Yeah, I was going to go Rigby football as well. Matt, I love your Madison volleyball pick. They would be the turkey if they would have won it all. But yeah, they'll be the mashed potatoes on this one. But yeah, I think that's right. We're just talking turkey. We won't go any longer because people have better things to do. But Rigby is your turkey. It's always there. It can be very, very extremely good, and you're going to have a bunch of seconds, thirds, a bunch of helpings because the turkey is so good. But yeah, they are our East Idaho turkey, a Thanksgiving turkey team of the fall sports. Sean, turkey plans? What are your Thanksgiving plans, man?
Just friends and family, and Thursday at a reasonable time. No big plans. Taking it easy. I was sick. I don't know if you guys remember this. I was sick a couple weeks ago, and I'm still like, I feel better, but I'm still tired, and I'm just trying to get back to normal. Remember that phrase you used to say all the time? Back to normal.
Can we get back to normal, please? Yeah.
Yeah, but how about you, Joel?
I'll be up in Ammon. I'll drive right by Hillcrest Stadium on my way to my in-laws' house, and we'll be in Ammon for the next few days, enjoying family, good food, and then we'll watch some football, watch the Lions. We'll watch some BYU basketball, some BYU football. And let's see. I think that's it. My son turns 14 tomorrow, so we'll have we'll have a birthday party for him. So no, it should be a really good weekend with family, good food, good conversation, and hopefully a fair amount of sports. Not too much, right? But hopefully a fair amount of sports to enjoy it.
Yeah, I think
to sprinkle it in.
And then one other thing, I think today I think it might already be on. Oh crap, I forgot. But Isaiah Harwell used to play for Century, right?
Yeah.
Now he's on University of Houston, and they're having some fun games. So I plan on watching some Houston basketball. I might have missed it though.
Shoot.
Well.
Yeah, dude, Big 12 basketball between Houston and
Syracuse,
Arizona.
They just beat Syracuse in the game the other day. It was pretty entertaining in overtime. But it's cool to see that student athlete out there playing college basketball. And I remember him just as a little kid running the halls when his older brothers were playing. So it's pretty cool.
Nice. We also have Julian Bowie out in Boise State. He's been doing stuff. Follow him on Instagram and see all of his games and good stuff he's doing with ICCU and charity work, and really, really good stuff from Julian Bowie, who played for Pokey just a few years ago, now playing for Boise State. Sean, enjoy your Thanksgiving break. Get lots of sleep. Continue to feel better. And we'll catch you. Hopefully, we should catch next week. As we'll talk more girls basketball, and Sean will bring more Kane's best picks or best teams, and we'll also maybe do some picks throughout this girls basketball season.
Yeah, I'll probably narrow it down. I just wanted to paint a broad brush.
I like it.
Start off, but maybe we'll just have a couple and maybe some performances. But yeah, you know me and the graphics, guys.
Love it. Hey, that's Sean Kane. I'm Joel Richardson saying have a great Thanksgiving break. Be excellent to each other, and we'll see you next time on the East Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.